Hey, everybody out there. Old Buck Dave back again. Happy New Year again. I'm with my
Good
companion
buddy,
friend,
old Buck Dell.
Old Buck Delbert, as he doesn't like to be called. That's why we call him Del. Hey, listen, we got some breaking news here. If you recall, I hate breaking news. So this is breaking.
You're gonna break it anyhow, are you?
I'm going to break in, yeah, like you're breaking in on me here all the time.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that later. Trust me. But hey, we're creating our own YouTube channel, folks, and we're gonna let you know when it's all gets ready and gets launched. We're talking about selected segments, some of the things that we've enjoyed doing, some of the things that people have enjoyed listening to. So we're open to any and all ideas. Dell's got a couple of ideas of his own that I had to talk to the boys in legal about already. But anyway, the Two Old Bucks YouTube channel is in the works. And anyway, hey, we got lots of letters from afar. We had a big avalanche of them coming in. So I think we got to spread them over the next couple episodes.
That was good. I don't know. I'm trying to think what we could have done that would have generated all that mail.
Well, here's the first one. We'd had several requests for your stovetop art.
Really?
Yeah, NFGs.
The NFGs, NFTs.
Well, yeah, I think for us they're NFTs, but for us they're NFGs, non-functioning geezers, something like that. I don't know, but anyway,
non-refundable giveaway.
Non-refundable giveaways, yeah. RF. But I'm pretty sure one of them is being projected on the wall at the Salvation Army here in town at the two-wheel travel shop. Tom and the Bike Boys said they needed one for the shop, and Tom seems real pleased with it, and I've given him the okay to sell replicas. So
stovetop art, I'll be darned.
Yeah. Anyway, we had a comment on the Vietnam area draft story that I read a couple of weeks ago. This is a Vixen wrote. My brother's number was something like 6, so after college, he didn't really make plans because he knew he would be called. Then he was rejected for being overweight, not obese, but overweight. They told him to lose weight and come back later. He came back later, but needless to say, did not try to lose the weight.
Yeah.
This was 1972, and it was clear to just about everybody that this was a lost cause, and what are we doing there? So
interesting,
yeah, interesting. That's another interesting story. There's probably tens of thousands of stories out there like that, and everyone's different.
Well, that was our period. That was our period. That was our time.
That was our time.
We were there.
That was our time. That's when we were full of vim and vigor and youth. Yeah. But hey, listen, anybody else has a story that they'd like us to put on? It's not on the air. It's on the cast, I guess.
Just mention it.
Yeah, we're not trying to create a political forum here or anything like that, but we're certainly willing to share the stories that the Vixens and Bucks out there might have.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Okay, here's one. Here's something that we've read. This is the one we've read to each other about 50 times. This comes from Tom the Butcher in Lunaville. Now, I didn't know if Lunaville was real, but it is. I think there's a Lunaville in Hawaii, so I presume that's where he's writing from here. He says, "Congratulations on your first anniversary. Well done. You guys are like fine wine. You get better with time. I'm still in awe of what you two old coots have accomplished."
Oh, that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you, old Buck Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom in Lunaville. Yeah, we just gotta teleport ourselves to junior high study hall, I think. Yes. Act accordingly. He goes on here. I'm sorry. He says, Dave. Now he's talking to me, clearly. He says, we listened to Nate's NPR interview, His voice seemed to indicate how difficult it was for him to revisit the events of that disaster. It was a great interview. So yeah, thanks, Butcher Tom. Appreciate those kind words too.
I agree.
Yeah,
I listened to that myself. That was good.
yeah. We got several comments from folks who listened to my son's interview, and everybody kind of noted that it's evident that there's still some stress there, and it's take a while before they can really truly exhale. But they're getting stronger and better every day. They just got a rare 8 inches of snow here over the weekend, and so there's a lot of snowball fights and sledding down the golf course hill. So they're doing well. So thanks again, Tom, and thanks everybody that's sent in comments on that interview. So if you haven't listened to his NPR interview, I urge you to listen to it, folks. It's in the liner notes of that episode. And finally, here we have a letter from Dawn in Daleville, Virginia. Now this one is, and that's a real place, Daleville, Virginia. I checked on that as well. We're not giving any last names here, folks. And so anyway, and this one I think is kind of short, sweet, and to the point. He's got these are numbered. Number 1, neutrinos, and he's got this in capital letters. Nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares about neutrinos. How could you not care about neutrinos? Jesus. That's what makes the world go round. Anyway, hey, okay, no more neutrinos if that's the way you want it, Dale. Dawn, you're Dale. I'm sorry. It's Dawn. Never mind.
I kind of agree with him.
You kind of agree. Okay. All right. I get a headache thinking about it anyway. All right, let's go. Number 2, Dave, read us more short stories. Hey, I'm all in on that. I enjoy reading them. I need to find stories of the right length that are also good stories that might appeal to you folks. So I'm going to be on the lookout for more short stories that come along that might be of interest to the back. I've got a couple in my back pocket here that I'm mulling over. So yeah, we'll have more short stories in the future. Enjoy doing that. And number 3, this is probably addressed to you, Dale. Could you arrange an interview with Elon Musk? That would be interesting.
That would be. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't know how to do that. Maybe he has a PR or something.
Maybe you get Elon and Pee Wee Herman on at the same time,
I'd like to talk
like
to
a
Elon.
panel discussion. What about that?
Think about the minds of those. I mean, they're opposite, obviously, in a lot, and in their creativity. But imagine talking to somebody that had the visions that Elon has. I mean, think about that. He just staggers my imagination. They could put that together.
He is a visionary, no question about that.
Yeah,
really bright, visionary.
What do you do? Walk into a bank and say, "Listen, I'd like to have about $3 billion loan. I want to build a rocket."
No problem, Mr. Musk.
Yeah, no problem. So
yeah,
so he would be a very interesting man to talk to.
So you're going to work on that. You're going to work on that.
I'll actually check it out. See if I can send him an email or something, and have him zoom into the to No Bucks broadcast or something. But
yeah. All right. So thank you, Don in Daleville.
Count on it.
Don't count on it.
Yeah, that he would.
You're giving up rather easily here, Dale. Come on.
Well, maybe one of the listeners who's a buddy of his that listens to the Old Bucks will, say, "Hey, Elon, why don't you give those guys a call?"
Give them a ring. Okay.
Right. Just email them at buckstoold at gmail.com, and they'll hook you up.
Let's see if we get some Elon here. Hey, I'd like to recognize the passing of several notable people in the last week of December. This is not a downer. This is a kind of a celebration. I think hats off to some people here that we had that all happened to die the last week in December. First of all, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, key figure in ending apartheid in South Africa, along with Nelson Mandela, won the Nobel Peace Prize. Did you ever get to meet him? I was always wondering if you got to meet him.
I never got to meet him personally, but they're showing you the highlights of his life. Obviously, some of the more dramatic, but he was such a person that every day something. He just did something. He was always in the background. When I think he was commanded such respect that when he spoke, everybody listened. Yeah, they kind of backed down if he said stop it.
Yeah, and he was always such an up kind of positive, great sense of humor.
Amazing man.
Quite a guy. I think certainly he's the most prominent of the people we're going to be talking about today. He's the person that did the most to change the world, I think.
I agree.
Amongst these people. And then we have Betty White, just passed away a few weeks shy of her 100th birthday. And
did you ever watch those programs, Dave?
Oh, I did. I mean, come on, who didn't like Betty White? Did you watch them? Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore was a favorite, and her the way she delivered the lines, no matter who wrote them, it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
We just I don't know, when the hairdo.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah. She was a classic, really. She just didn't quite make 100, but it appears that they did film. They made a show of her 100th birthday party, which they're going to show anyway. I think on the 17th. She was a class act in every way. A real pro.
I think. Did you remember when she married that game host?
Alan Ludden. Yeah,
and that was what was the name of that show? You remember?
Oh man, I don't.
To tell the truth or something. Or?
Is that it? Okay. I remember him kind of a.
She had a wit too. She was incredibly funny. That was all unscripted, for the ad lib stuff. He used to laugh.
Yeah.
So anyhow, thank you, Betty.
Thanks, Betty. Favorite of mine, Joan Didion, died at 87. Writer, journalist, essayist, observer of America. I just really, really enjoyed her stuff. She had she was so unique, I think, when she would just see things a little bit more clearly or differently, and was just such an interesting common recorder of the American way, as it were, something like that.
Did she write a regular column, Dave? That doesn't ring a bell.
She's written a bunch of essays. There have been a couple other collections. Number one, the White Album, which I've read that. Slouching Towards Bethlehem. There's another collection. She wrote for several magazines over the years. I wish I can't tell you which they are. Maybe the New Yorker. Year of Magical Thinking was the story she wrote about her husband's death. So that was a tough one. That was.
And these are books.
Year of Magical Thinking is a book, and she wrote Play It As It Lays, which was a fiction, and I believe that was made into a movie. And she wrote a bunch of stuff, and I mean, if you want, she wrote a lot of stuff in the 60s and 70s. She was very prominent back then, and it just kind of takes you back in time.
So you recommend that?
Oh, yeah.
She's
one of the best. Yeah, I would recommend her. And then, of course, at 85, we lost John Madden.
Yeah,
you got to know John Madden. Football coach, then commentator, color commentator. Do you remember back in the old days when he was the Oakland Raiders coach?
No, I don't remember the early days so much of that.
Okay.
I wasn't following that, but I do remember his commentaries. He added the color to a lot of football games, which was hilarious. The way he described things, that's how I remember.
Yeah,
he was so different, the way he described it.
Yeah.
And he goes around the end, and bang, he runs into someone.
Yeah. But boy, I remember when he was Raiders coach, and he's pacing the sidelines like a caged bear, man. He was just, and the Pittsburgh people just used to bust him up. But he was really one of the best. I think he had, what is it? He's got the highest winning percentage for any coach who's coached more than 100 games, something like that. He became head coach at 32. Do you remember 32? I can barely remember 30. Yeah. But anyway, hats off to John Madden. Hey, speaking of football and pro athletes, you were talking the other day about athletes
Yeah.
Something about their girlfriends or boyfriends, or tell me more about that. You didn't. You just kind of dangled that out in front of me.
You recall recently the girlfriend of Patrick Holmes,
I'll go
the
along
Kansas,
with this. I
the
can't.
Kansas City Chiefs
I know who he
quarterback.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
Well, his
I'm not.
girlfriend, I think his
Okay.
name Melissa. I forget. For some reason, I saw this on a couple of Google things, and I saw it on the news. They were commentating on it. Anyhow, the bottom line is you have an athlete that achieves some level of fame or whatever notoriety,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden his girlfriend chimes in with commentary on other players, other teams, and of course they pick that up, and it turns into like some kind of a, I don't know what you expect, but stuff I don't even
Oh
interested
yeah.
in. She says something like, "Well,
Because
if he
she's
could
so
throw the
well.
ball further, yeah, like she's so,
She's so well versed
yeah,
in the finer points of the game.
yeah." And then I think I really object to the fact that hangers on or associates all of a sudden can be picked up and quoted in these on these commentary and stories and so on and forth. It's like, well, I know one of the two old bucks, and they said this, and you're going, what?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? But it happens all the time, I guess. No, and I wonder why they do it, because it's just an opinion.
You know why they do
in
it?
the stadium has an opinion.
You know why they do it? Because they can. Because it's
Can.
their 15 seconds of celebrity, I guess. I don't know. Why do we do this? It's for the money, right?
Yeah,
It's for the money.
Yeah. We're still looking for a sponsor.
We're still looking. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Well, watch for it.
A lot of people who really have are really kind of uninteresting people get to have a public forum, and people hang on to their words. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. And if John, like I say, let's say John Madden, who has got lots and lots of experience in the game, would have a commentary on something, you would say, okay, that makes sense. He has some basis to say that. But somebody who just joins as a girlfriend or something like that, just came on stage and all of a sudden is making commentary about other players and how they acted. Anyhow, it's just the way it is.
That's what keeps you up at night. Okay.
Not too long. It doesn't.
Not too long. All right. Hey, speaking of the staying on the football theme here, or pro athlete theme anyway. Mm-hmm. Are you aware that there's that the Washington football team is going to announce their new name on February 2nd?
I hope that's the one I chose. What name do you choose for him? Did you choose a name for him?
Well, I mean, given that it's on February 2nd, the obvious choice is the Groundhogs, right? Because that's Groundhog Day. But I'd be disappointed if they went for the easy one there. I don't know.
The Washington Groundies, huh? Okay.
Washington
the Groundhogs, the Hogs, the Washington Hogs.
The Hogs.
Well, I think the obvious and clear choice.
The Air Hogs? I don't
know. No, okay. The clear choice would be the Monuments.
Oh, Washington Monuments. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and they have a natural, there was a clear symbol they can use.
Wow.
The obelisk, and
you're not just a pretty face. I like that.
I know. I think of stuff like this.
You do.
You couldn't call them the Gridlocks, or you couldn't call them the Partisans.
You could call them the Gridlocks. I like that one even more. That's so appropriate. The Washington Gridlocks. You have been thinking about this. That's great. I like that.
I mean, John Madden would have a field day with that name or something.
Oh my gosh, yeah, jeez.
But we'll see if they come up with what they come up with: a name of a creature, a name of an inanimate object, but I'm thinking the Monuments. That would just be.
I'm going with Gridlocks. I am loving that.
We'll see.
Well, listen,
we'll see.
Maybe this could be a contest. What do you think?
I don't know.
Want to make this a contest?
We don't often get a chance to name a professional
Let's
football
make
team.
this a contest. Let's have all our, both our listeners send in their nomination for what the Washington football team is going to be called, You've got to get your you've got to get your guesses in here before February 2nd to make it legal here.
And if you guess right,
if you guess right,
and then we can always say that on the old Bucks can give you credit for it.
Well, you've got that new art that you just came out with. It wasn't stovetop art. This was sink art, right?
Yeah.
Was that?
Oh yeah, did you see that? Yeah, the sink art.
That was pretty nice. Pretty nice. So we will give a copy of Dill's latest sink art to the person who correctly names the Washington football team, or who let's make it tough, or let's make it easy, or who recommends the name that we like the best.
True.
Either way,
the name they choose maybe would be the same, but yeah,
those turn out to be two people. We'll give them each. An original
copy of sink art.
Sink art. Okay. Having said that,
and after having said what?
Well, we said a bunch of stuff actually. I think we had a good start here. It was our first joint 2022 episode. But the more I thought about this, we've really got a good chance here to respond to Don in Daleville and some of the other people who wanted some short stories, wanted more short stories. So this is one that I've had in my hip pocket for a while. This is a story. It's only 400 words, less than 400 words actually, and it's by one of the masters, George Saunders. He writes all really, really strange stuff, great stuff. So I'm just going to read this story. We can talk about it. It's very short. It's called Sticks.
Sticks. S-T-I-C-K-S. Sticks.
Sticks,
okay.
Yeah.
Sticks.
Okay, here we go. Every year, Thanksgiving night, we flocked out behind Dad as he dragged the Santa suit to the road and draped it over a kind of crucifix he'd built out of a metal pole in the yard. Super Bowl week, the pole was dressed in a jersey and Rod's helmet, and Rod had to clear it with Dad if he wanted to take the helmet off. On the 4th of July, the pole was Uncle Sam. On Veterans Day, a soldier. On Halloween, a ghost. The pole was Dad's only concession to glee. We were allowed a single Crayola from the box at a time. One Christmas Eve, he shrieked at Kimmy for wasting an apple slice. He hovered over us as we poured ketchup, saying, "Good enough, good enough, good enough." Birthday parties consisted of cupcakes, no ice cream. The first time I brought a date over, she said, "What's with your dad and that pole?" And I sat there blinking. We left home, married, had children of our own, found the seeds of meanness blooming also within us. Dad began dressing the pole with more complexity and less discernible logic. He draped some kind of fur over it on Groundhog Day and lugged out a floodlight to ensure a shadow. When an earthquake struck Chile, he lay the pole on its side and spray-painted a rift in the earth. Mom died, and he dressed the pole as death and hung from a crossbar photos of Mom as a baby. We'd stop by and find odd talismans from his youth arranged around the base. Army medals, theater tickets, old sweatshirts, tubes of Mom's makeup. One autumn he painted the pole bright yellow. He covered it with cotton swabs that winter for warmth and provided offspring by hammering in 6 crossed sticks around the yard. He ran lengths of string between the pole and the sticks and taped to the string letters of apology, admissions of error, pleas for understanding, all written in a frantic hand on index cards. He painted a sign saying love and hung it from the pole, and another that said forgive. And then he died in the hall with the radio on, and we sold the house to a young couple who yanked out the pole and the sticks and left them by the road on garbage day. The end. So what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what's amazing to me is that you can build a story, a short story, and pack it full of that much information. That's always a problem. I think you want to ramble on and on and on. That's a good story.
Yeah, that's what really struck me about the story. It's under 400 words and it says so much. It's really just he's one of the masters. He's just one of the best.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did the pole consist through the entire story? Is it sort of a crucifix-looking pole? I mean, a vertical pole with a horizontal pole somewhere about arm length or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, that's the way I interpret it. Yeah. Until towards the end, he pounded those sticks into the ground and then, connected the sticks to the pole via strings.
So, what do you think the author was trying to say, that the man was sound like he was cheap, or I mean, I don't know, is that the
Well,
right word, cheap?
well, he was certainly cheap, but he was not a happy man. I think he clearly didn't treat his kids very well, and I think these things that came out towards the end.
Was he mean?
Well, it says the kids, they had the seeds. They found the seeds of meanness blooming within them. So
Yeah. Okay.
clearly, he was a tough father, and I think he was kind of, as it says here, I think he's asking forgiveness in the end here. So I mean, think about it.
So
He
you
didn't.
also think he was a little bit crazy?
He was yeah. I think he was probably a lonely guy. His wife died, the kids moved out, and he probably maybe had a chance to reflect on his life, and maybe it wasn't the best. He didn't lead the best life possible. I mean, think about this. What's the title of the story?
I thought about that. Sticks, and they don't appear until the last few lines.
That's right. It's not the pole, or it's not the cross. It's sticks. Those sticks, those are the kids, the way I see it. So he's trying to communicate with his kids the best way that he can figure out. He puts these sticks in the ground around the pole and hangs these index cards.
Well, I thought about that too. I thought about that too, Dave. If you have a line coming from the pole and it's going to that particular stick, and on that stick, he's taped all the things he wants to say to those kids. That's utterly brilliant. If that's
that's the way I mean that's the way I would interpret it. And it also it shows how sad this was. The father couldn't pick up the phone or ask the kids to come over and tell him these things. This was the only way he knew how to communicate at this point.
And he just taped everything he wanted to say to him on a string from the pole, which must have represented himself. Yep. I'm taken aback here for a second. I mean, I didn't quite see it that way. That's rather profound. That's rather profound for such a short story.
Yeah, I thought it was just really well done.
How do you, and let me say it this way, do you have a reservoir of these things? Because you just run across them? I mean, how do you run across something like that?
I mean, I came across this story, I don't know, several years ago, and then I keep kind of refinding it somewhere on the web, find it again. And I thought, well, somebody else needs to hear this story because it's so good.
I think the folks that are interested in listening to short stories are going to love this. I mean, it's a story that I wouldn't normally run across myself. And yet you think about it, I'm always impressed when somebody could put that much meaning in so few words. Yeah. I mean, that's a secret.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to what the listeners out there thought of the story. If you've got some comments on it, pro, con, otherwise, email us, buckstoold@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you've got a favorite short story. I'm calling this falls under flash fiction, which is approximately under 1,000 words, although flash fiction can be over that. But that's kind of the standard definition, something under 1,000 words.
But we're looking for something around 500 words so we can fit it in. Do you think? Is that what?
Well, yeah, shorter is fine. Yeah, something that we can fit into an episode, chat about a little bit, and yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found that. I appreciate you reading it.
And I think we already have another short story coming up here, and sometime in February. It's a science fiction, flash fiction.
You mentioned that to me. Were you talking to the author of this next story?
I did. We swapped some emails. I asked her some questions, so we'll talk about all that. Yeah. And she gave me some other things to think about. So I think that's going to be a fun episode sometime in February here.
You are an amazing old buck, I'm telling you.
Both us, man. Both us. Yeah.
I'm impressed that you find a story, and we have a vehicle to talk about that story, and you're able to then communicate with the actual author of that story. That's got to be a fun thing.
It was a fun
thing to
thing.
do.
It was a fun
Yeah.
thing. And she was
Looking forward to
yeah.
talking about that one in depth in the future.
Having said that again, I'm going to say it's time for us to go. What do you think?
I'm thinking this is old Buck Dell saying thank you to all our listeners, and stay tuned.
Okay, folks, this is old Buck Dave saying adios.